Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Salem's Lot. And this movie came out in 2024, and it's currently on Max. And I'm talking about the feature-length film and not the miniseries, because both exist. And similar to it, only this movie was not split into two parts, as in like Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. This movie is just a 1-2 hour long film, basically, and it's a vampire movie, and it's a horror movie. And it's based on a Stephen King novel of the same name. And I personally did not really care for this movie. There were things that I liked about it, and the movie looked nice at points. There were moments where I was like, oh, that shot looks kind of interesting, mostly in the first half. And for the first 30 minutes, I thought things were being well set up, and I was like enjoying the setups for things, and it was like a good premise. I was like, this is surprising me with how decent this is, even if it had a couple clunky elements, especially towards the beginning. And like when dialogue was being spoken, I was like, wow, this felt like it came out of nowhere. And I feel like a scene was missing, but more onto that later. The acting from the adults I thought was good, and Bill Camp, I thought he was the most likable character in the movie, like his character. And the protagonist characters in Stephen King novel adaptations, they're usually very likable characters, and that's the same thing with this movie, and the characters you're not supposed to like are always very unlikable and kind of irritating at times. And that also rings true for this movie, and what really bothered me about this movie, and I'll just get into one negative right now, is that those unlikable characters that are just kind of like side characters in the movie, they're there, but unlike some other movies that are adaptations of Stephen King's novels, there wasn't really a point to it, and they just go nowhere, and you never see those characters again. They're in one scene, and then they're gone. I liked the romance element of the movie. I thought it was done well enough, and it never felt forced to me, even though it was a bit underdeveloped. I didn't feel as though it was wasting my time all too much. And the vampire, like the head of all these vampires, like the design of it in the first half, I was like, okay, I kind of liked it, and it kind of reminded me of some of the vampire designs in Blade 2. Even though I would have preferred not to see that character at all, and to just keep it mysterious as much as possible. Like, just seeing him briefly and not really focusing on how he looks, I thought that was a good idea, and there are points where the violence is off screen, so you can kind of just cheat it, and that stuff was well handled. And unfortunately, where the movie kind of lost me was halfway through the movie, and it started to lose me 30 minutes into the movie, where the first real death happens. Kind of spoilers, I guess, but I'm guessing you are expecting a character to die at a certain point in this movie. But in this movie, a character does die, and the way it's handled, I just was imagining, okay, you could have shown this so much better if it was like a POV shot from the vampire's perspective, and just to cut it at the right moment and just had it creepy. That way you could keep the design of the vampire ambiguous, and you wouldn't see him. Eventually you do see him not being kind of mysterious in the shadows, just full on his entire body and his design. Once you get to that point, I was like, wow, I'm really not digging his look, and I was just reminded of Blade 2 again. But in this way, instead of being reminded, oh, he looks similar, I'm just thinking of the designs of the vampires in that movie just looked a lot better, and some of them are kind of creepy and weird and out there, and just so creative that that's the kind of thing I would have liked to have seen in this movie. But unfortunately, that's not what we got. And I also got this feeling once the movie was over, if you got Guillermo del Toro to direct it, and probably Ron Perlman would have been involved in this movie too, because they like to work with each other. And if you had Guillermo del Toro to direct it, and you gave him full creative control to do whatever he wanted two things would have happened. A, I think this movie would have been a lot better. It would have been really nice to look at with great creature designs, visually stunning, and it would be like more fairy tale like, and just I think that would have helped this movie a lot. And also, I don't think it would have ruined what the book was going for at all. Maybe at certain moments it would be like, yeah, there were changes, but maybe they were changes that could have helped the film. I don't know. We don't have that movie. Instead, we have this, but I'm just imagining the potential of what we could have gotten, because I was just disappointed with this movie, and about halfway through I was kind of just checked out, and I didn't really care about what was going on all that much. I liked some of the characters, but unfortunately they didn't really carry me through it. There's some really, really weak child performances in this movie. And also, this movie is directed by Gary Dauberman, if I pronounced that correctly. Probably not. He's the same director as Annabelle Comes Home, and that was his first feature film, and this is his second feature film that he's directed, and nothing else. So, no surprise that this movie wasn't great from that perspective, and if you don't have a good director attached to a movie, then the movie's not going to turn out all that great. And that's best case scenario. And the nighttime scenes kind of had this like blue look to it, and it was just very distracting for me, and I just didn't like it at all. And also, there were points where this movie kind of reminded me of other movies. Like, it kind of reminded me of It because of the kids that were involved. It kind of reminded me of Dr. Sleep at a couple moments, and there was honestly a point towards the end of the movie, like in the last 5 minutes, where it just kind of turned into aliens. I was like, really? In this movie, it does feel like a lot of it is just left on the cutting room floor because, like I've said already, in the beginning, it feels very rushed. Like we get a character talking about what needs to be done with this like coffin. He's talking about how it's like really important that you take very good care of it. Like it's gold, top priority, blah, 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 blah. All that kind of stuff. But the way it was started, I was like, oh, they're already having this conversation. There was no build up to it. There was no character entering this building to talk to another character. They're just already talking. I was like, wow, this feels rushed. But in the first 30 minutes, I was like, I can forgive that to see where this is going to go. Because depending on how good the rest of the movie is, I could forgive some things here and there. But in this movie, there are points where it just cuts around and you don't really get a good sense of time in this movie. And there's a point where it says 1 week later. I was like, what? A week has passed already? And it just felt like this movie had plenty of scenes that were missing that could have helped this movie out a lot more. And the characters made pretty dumb decisions, especially in the second half of the movie. For the kids, it's kind of somewhat acceptable because they're not intelligent adults who would know a lot better, but the adults, I can't really get behind them. They're just kind of stupid, and I couldn't accept their decision-making in this movie. The visual effects in this movie did not look very convincing in this film at all. I always felt like I was watching an effect, and it was just very distracting. And I can't remember exactly when I started to feel this way, but it was somewhere in the last 30 minutes of the movie where I realized I really don't care if any of these characters make it out alive. We've reached that point in the film where you're supposed to care, but I just don't care. And that's about all I have to say about Salem Slot. It was kind of bad, kind of boring, didn't really engage me all that much. And all I can really say from a positive perspective that I haven't said yet is that this movie has not discouraged me from checking out the book and reading the book to see what that's like, because I can't imagine it's any worse than this movie. So, I'll read the book at some point, but I'm never going to rewatch this movie, so skip this movie if you ever come across it. It's currently on Max, so if you want to check it out, that's the way to watch it, but I personally would not recommend watching it. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Salem's Lot a 4 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Salem Slot, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for The Pink Panther Strikes Again. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.